Guys, and welcome to my channel. If you are a nurse who works night shift or you are planning to transition into a night shift, you are at the right place. Night shift can be very overwhelming, but with the right strategies, you can thrive and even love your night shift. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my tips on how to thrive and conquer for your night shift like a pro. Let's get started, guys. The very first thing you want to do is prioritize your sleep. I know this is now a very different rhythm, but you have to make sure that you're prioritizing your sleep. When you come back from work, make sure that you're taking a breakfast, make sure that you shower, and then you go straight into sleep. If you're somebody who finds it very difficult to fall asleep in the mornings after your night shift, there are certain things you have to make sure you put in place. The very first thing I want to advise is make sure you're getting night curtains. The next thing is you can get like some very soothing noise blockers that can kind of block the noise so that you can sleep, because hey, this is morning, people have woken up, people are going about their days, and so it is definitely noisy. And so you want to get certain things, or equipment from Amazon or someplace that is going to help block out the noise whilst you sleep. The next suggestion for you is going to be wearing sleep mask. I know sometimes even after using that black curtain or the dark curtains, it might feel like it's dark enough but you cannot sleep. You can even take a step further by getting the sleeping mask, which is going to help you close your eyes and sometimes even help you not to think about anything, meaning that you're completely blacked out and you can easily fall asleep. So you have to prioritize your sleep. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep. You know your body more than I do. If you are that person who prioritizes or who needs at least 6 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep, or maybe 8 hours of sleep to be able to function like a normal person, make sure that you are prioritizing those number of hours of sleep. Take, for example, you come back after a very hectic night shift. And as we all know, sometimes things can happen during the night shift. Let's say you get home at about 9 a.m. when usually you get home at 7 a.m. You want to make sure that you're on it to take your breakfast. You take your showers. You please turn off your phone or put it on do not disturb or on airplane mode, whatever is going to make you to have your full night shift or night sleep, especially if you're going back for another shift the very next night. You want to make sure that you're prioritizing your sleep. Prioritize your sleep, prioritize your sleep, prioritize your sleep. Another tip I want to add is maybe you can even go an extra mile to get some earplugs. You want to go ahead and block your ears from hearing all the random noises out there. Maybe parents or your neighbors are getting their kids ready for school, people are rushing for work, people are trying to get the trash out, people are doing laundry, or maybe people are doing the dishes. You want to make sure that you're actively blocking out those noises by using an earplug so that you can sleep sound and steady like a baby. My next tip for you is going to be stay active during downtimes. I know night shift can be a little slow, and so during those slow moments, make sure that you're staying active. Now, what do I mean by being active? You can walk around, you can take a stretch, or you can even turn to your co-workers and you can have a chit chat. Try to say stories about what happened over the weekend, what plans you have, just something to keep your blood going. Or if you're that nurse who is still having a lot to chat, make sure that you are chatting. If for any reason you have maybe like a puzzle word book or something that is going to keep you active, keep your brain going, make sure that you're staying active during your downtimes, because I can tell you that during the night shift when the patients have slept, it can be very slow at times, that it can get frustrating. And so if you don't have those things that are going to keep you active during that downtime, it can be very daunting and very tiring on you. I know it might seem like you are not doing anything during downtime, but let me tell you, it can get as long as a 5-hour downtime that your body is going to be craving for something to do just to keep it active. So during the downtime time, make sure that you're trying to walk around, stretch your feet, who knows, maybe just go to the break room, get some water, just get something to eat, or just walk around and check on your patients, but make sure that you're keeping yourself active during the downtime. My next tip for you is going to be make sure that you're eating healthy during your night shift. I know it can be very tempting to get those heavy carbs, to get those sugary foods and drink, but try to stay away from those things because those things can give you a lot of energy, but then they can make you even heavier and a little bit sluggish and slow down. You want to think about healthy fruits like nuts, salads, fruits, protein bars, anything that is very healthy. Why not even a salad? Make sure that you're aiming to be very healthy during the night shift by taking or bringing along some healthy fruits. I can tell you also that this is also going to be one thing that is going to keep you up during the downtime. Also, I know that so many of my co-workers have told me that one thing that keeps them up and going is when they're chewing on something, or maybe they have like some cold water, or they have like some cold healthy drink. That is when they tend to sip or chew on it, and that keeps them up. So make sure that you're bringing some healthy snacks with you to work. That is going to keep you up. Stay away from like candies or anything sugary, any heavy carb foods that is going to give you so much energy, but then it's going to make you feel so heavy that it's going to slow you down and even make you less active for the downtime during your night shift. So make sure that you're bringing healthy foods to your night shift. My very next tip is going to be find what works for you. Find what is going to make you act or function like a normal human being, that you can function. If you are that nurse who thrives on when you get to work, you get your shift report, then you check up on your patients, you take medications, you go give to patients, you clean them, you make sure they're comfortable, they go to sleep, you start chatting away. If you have any new patients, admissions, you start looking up notes concerning those patients. You start actively getting yourself prepared for your new patients. Or if you don't have any new patient who is coming on, you want to start reading those notes and making sure that you're taking down like the important things that were missed during shift change, and you're actively writing them down. If for any reason there's any procedure for a patient, make sure that you're actively taking those things, you're noting them down, you're reaching out to the charge nurse, you're asking questions. If any patient needs to be cleaned, they just woke up or they're in pain, you want to actively go and give them their pain medicine, you want to care for their ADLs and all of those. Just make sure you find your own ritual. For me, my own ritual during my night shift goes thus. When I come onto the shift, the very first thing I do is after huddle, I take my shift report. After my shift report, I now move to the computer and I see the medications that are needed for every patient. Now I write down all my medications, and if for any reason there is a medication that can tamper with blood pressure or a medication that can tamper with like electrolytes, I make sure that I'm checking up what those numbers look like. Take for example, a patient has amlodipine, a patient has correct, the patient has scheduled hydralazine. I want to actively know like what have been their trends of their blood pressure, so that I know whether to hold or whether to give and monitor. And if for any reason the patient has Lasix, Bumex or spironolactone, I need to make sure that I'm looking at their potassium. Or if a patient has been pooping for so long and maybe C. diff or something of that sort, I make sure that I'm checking their potassium, or just something that is going to tamper at that moment while I'm writing down my patient's medication. That is when I'm actively looking at those numbers to make sure that, hey, it is safe to give this medication, or hey, you can give this medication, but make sure that you're monitoring this all through the shift. After my 9 o'clock medications are done, I now come and make sure that once I'm doing giving my medications, I assess my patients in the room. I now come to the computer and I start documenting. Now it can take me like 2 to 3 hours depending on how in-depth or how critical the patient is, that I will need to do a much more focused assessment documentation for the patient. Now, after documentation, you might find out that it is already like maybe 11 p.m. During that 11 p.m. time, now I'm now looking through like my labs, or I'm looking through at like what procedures the patient might be scheduled for, or why the patient is still in the hospital. I'm actively writing those things down, and my brain is actively thinking like, okay, if this patient is still here because of this, then maybe they're planning for another procedure, or maybe they're planning, or they're thinking of something. Or let's say, for example, the patient is here for dialysis. What have their numbers looked like? What are their I's and O's? Is the dialysis actually helping the patient? If, for example, the patient is on dialysis due to fluid overload, like what are their fluid outputs and inputs looking like right now? What do their potassiums look like? What do their creatinines look like, their BUN, and all of those electrolyte protocols that come in with patients who are on dialysis? What do their blood pressures look like during dialysis? This is the time when I actively, use my brain, and I'm thinking of like everything that entails each patient. Now, midnight rolls on, and if for some reason any patient has any medication that is scheduled there, then I actively go ahead to pull this medication and give to the patient. I am someone who usually take my break very late during my shift. Usually I will take my break at about 1 to 3 a.m. because that works for me. That has been my ritual. That is what makes me comfortable during my night shift and keeps me up and going. And so during that time, that is when I go for my break. When I come back, it's now going to be time for 4 a.m. medication, or from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. medications. Now I give those medications. If for any reason a patient has heart failure, then I start getting ready to take their morning weight. Patients who are scheduled for lab works, I now get ready to start taking lab works. Or if the patient have lab works that can be done by labs, I just make sure that I'm looking out for the phlebotomists to come along so they can draw blood. Now, if the patient is having like a central line wherein I am responsible for drawing blood for this patient, that is when I'll be looking forward to going to do my labs. If for any reason a patient is having GI bleeds, I have to know I have to be monitoring their H&H. If for any reason a patient is having DVTs or PE, I now make sure that I am watching their numbers. Or if, for example, the patients are on blood thinner, let's say a heparin drip, I am actively making sure that I am on it. In terms of their Q6 lab works, in order for me to titrate up or titrate down the heparin drip. Now, that is my ritual when it comes to my night shift. This is what works for me, but again, you can always find what works for you. So make sure that you have a set on stone ritual that works for you. And I can tell you that the next time you come for your night shift, it's just going to be very easy to just fall into that ritual and move along during that night shift. My very next tip is going to be find a group of maybe your colleagues, or find a group of people you can talk to that can give you that support during that time. During night shift, when it is really the downtime, that is the time when we tend to each other, we crack jokes, we talk about our past weekends, the plans we have moving on. That will also be a very great time to lean on support from your colleagues. Tell them, hey, I find that this is what I'm struggling during night shift. I find it very difficult to stay up. What do you do? I can tell you that people are going to tell you their own secrets. People are going to actively tell you what they do to keep them up. Maybe for somebody it is drinking cold water. Maybe for somebody it is just walking around. Or maybe for somebody it is, just chewing on some nuts or eating a fruit. Or maybe for another person it is, who knows, just doing something that keeps you up. Actively engage in conversations with your co-workers, and I can tell you that they're going to tell you what makes them or keeps them up during the night shift. If you want to thrive during your night shift, you have to be open to talk to people. Express your challenges to people, and I bet you that people are going to kind of lean onto you and tell them what works for them, and who knows, maybe that too can work for you. So make sure that you're chit-chatting and you're talking with people, and even reach out to, maybe when you get back home, you can talk to your family like, hey, I'm finding it very difficult to sleep when I come back from sleep. Can you guys tone it down when it comes to the noise? Can you guys just try to do things before I get home, or just do things at a much more lower volume and don't disturb me whilst I'm sleeping? So be very open, have conversations, talk with people, express how you feel, and I can guarantee you that that is going to help you to enjoy your night shift whilst at work, and even when you come home, and why not even when you're preparing to come to work. One thing I want to tell you about night shift is this: night shift can be very daunting, especially when it comes to our sleeping cycle. But if you find a ritual, if you find something that works for you, and if you found that help that is going to make your night shift very easy and pleasant, I can tell you that when you are preparing to go to work, it's not going to be that moment where you're grumbling, or that moment where you're going to be like, oh, another shift again. If you have talked to people and you are doing all of these tips, I can guarantee you that you are going to love your night shift schedule. Thank you all for staying right up to the end of my video. I want to know, what are the things that you guys are doing to keep you up during your night shift? What are the things you're incorporating into your own rhythm or your own cycle that helps you? Drop your comments in the comment section below, because I know that there's so many night nurses who are struggling in their night shifts. They love their night shift, but they don't know how to function properly in the night shift. So do drop your comments in the comment section, and we can all help each other. And for the new nurses who are still coming on and they've heard so many things about night shift, maybe from some nurse they've heard that night shift can be very challenging, night shift can be very slow, night shift can be very daunting on your sleeping cycle. Maybe if you drop a comment in the comment section, they can also be very informed and well prepared on this night shift that they are getting into. Thank you all for staying right up to the end of my video. I do hope that you've learned something from this and from me to you. I'll see you all in my next one. Bye guys, and peace out.